in control. Man, that looks great.
Jets! Oh my God, it's so beautiful. 78 degrees, Jets football, and we're winning. That's what's going on today. That's why everybody's so psyched. This isn't no happenstance. This is a guarantee, just like Joe Namath said. See that?
There are few things in life you cannot put a price on. Loyalty, tradition, fierce passion. Today is a gigantic family reunion because finally, they're back.
There it is. What's happening, everybody? Everybody in here rocking and rolling early. It's good to see you guys in the chat. I'm always grateful when you come in here early. I want to say hello. I'm having a really, really long night already. So hopefully you guys can help shrink it at the end. That's what I'm really counting on. I'm counting on some shrinkage. If you know what that means, I'm having a long one. So I have a good show, though, for you guys. It's going to be fun tonight, man. Somebody I've never had on before, and I have had time on the air with him numerous times over at Jets Media, and I'm psyched to bring him over here with us today. And a lot of you guys already know him. I see a lot of your familiar faces over at Jets Media streams and stuff, but let's say hello to Jack McGalley. Let's see if I said that right, from Jets Media. Did I say it right?
You did. You got it, man. What's up, everybody?
I got nervous, man. How you doing, Jack?
I'm doing great, man. I'm honored to be here with you. Thank you so much for bringing me on. Shout out to everybody in the chat, and it's going to be a fun night, man. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's bye-week fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like dude, how great would it have been to go into the bye week with a win? How great would that have been?
I mean, it's all I wanted in the world, man. It's all I wanted. The difference between 1-4 and 2-3 going into the earliest bye slot of the season, that's night and day, man. So definitely very upsetting that we dropped one to the Atlanta Falcons of all teams. So yeah, it's a tough one, man. It's a tough pill to swallow, but here we are.
Yeah, and now we got 2 weeks to toss it around and try. You know, it's a funny thing on bye weeks after losses. Initially everybody gets all crazy, like we're seeing. This sucks. We suck. Zach Wilson's in trouble. All the stuff that you see. And an interesting thing's going to happen right around Sunday, Monday. It's going to flip to the bye week was the perfect thing that we needed, and we're ready, and we're going into Foxborough, and we're going to kick the shit out of the pack. It's funny, man. You'll see if you haven't.
Believe me, man. You're preaching to the choir, man. I know how quickly Jet fans can flip that switch on Twitter, man. It's one day it's screw this team, and the next day, exactly like you said, it's this bye week has rejuvenated us, and LaFleur is gonna get this job done for the rest of the season, and so yeah, you'll start seeing all that pop up within the next couple days.
Hanging out with John Beck, it's gonna be the best. But here we are, like you said, it's the bye week. We're 1-4. And it's tough. I want to take a second and say hello to some of the early goers in the chat. I also want to mention the two awesome sausages we have sitting in the background. I want to say hello to Bismo Charismo from Australia. He was in here first, as he said, front and center, ready for GreenBean to bring the positivity. I'll try, man. I know it's like my role these days. Like, dude, talk me out of this one, Bean. I'm like, I don't know if I can this time. Harry W's in here. Jets Mess, Emanon. Red Dog was in the hospital. I don't know why. Red Dog, I sincerely hope that you're okay. You're here, so that's a good sign. But let me know if we can do anything, if you want us to talk to your nurse or anything, get any special requests. I have no shame, my friend. I'll ask her. If you want a sponge bath, we'll get it done.
We'll make it happen.
Right? Stephen Engel is here. Jeremy's in the house, and I'll talk about him in a minute. Lots of dudes. Frankie from Flatbush. Matthias Simon, my old good friend from the greenhouse days. Skills Baby's here. John Postman is here. Yeah, man. Lots of guys. Get Mo Bob. I see Mo Lake in here. New York Jets Tales. So many more. They're all pouring in. Jets Life 45. So thanks for being here, guys. Keith Herring. I see you guys, man, and I'm happy that you're here. What I will say is this: as you guys know, we have two very special people hanging out in the background. You'll be seeing them throughout the show. We have Jeremy Cravat on there, making sure I don't fuck up. Is basically what he's doing. He likes to tell me when I'm wrong. So that's hey, hey, you want to?
We
hang
all
out?
need a person like that in our life, man.
That's it.
And if
That's
that's
it.
Jeremy for
Yeah.
you, then so be it.
That's it. Jeremy is filling that role, and it makes him very happy because I get the feeling that he gets told he's wrong a lot. He's a vice principal of an
Oh, yeah.
elementary school, so you know how
Yeah.
that goes. So I let him vent. I let him vent over here, and then we
Love
have
it.
Watu-K99. You'll see both those guys in the chat. Watu-K will be with us later. He brings us a lot of the stats and information that we need if we're talking about something. He likes to, dig it up and make sure that we know what we're talking about and all that, and it's really cool. So. Love you guys, and so look. The first thing I want to talk about today, and well, before I do that, I want to remind the chat. This is your show, chat. So if you guys have questions, you're gonna set the tone. Whatever you guys want to talk about is what we talk about. I'll start with a couple things, but you guys know how it goes. In the event you want to make sure your comment or question gets seen, obviously you guys know about super chats, and I do appreciate it. But we'll try to do a good job nonetheless, getting you guys and all your questions as best we can. So the first thing, Jack, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. What did you think was the main culprit for the last victory? I'm not even going to say the whole season, just not victory. Holy shit, the last loss. What did you see as the number one problem? And then whatever that is, do you see it as fixable, or do you think we're heading down a long road here?
I think that I kind of have two answers for that one. The first big issue for me was definitely Zach Wilson needs to hit the easy throws. It's very troubling in a sense that, well, not exactly troubling, because I love the fact that he can, be rolling out to his right and launch the ball 60 yards in the air with the flick of the wrist. But those throws should not seem easier watching it on TV than, a screen route that he throws into the dirt, or an easy out on 3rd and 10, that could have sealed the game against Tennessee before we even went into overtime, and, all had years shaved off of our lives watching that freaking game. But so Zach Wilson needs to hit the easy throws. That's number one. And I do think that's fixable for sure. I would assume that he's drilling it with good old John Beck, as you said earlier a couple minutes ago. But that brings me to my second point, and which is definitely fixable because we don't have the Falcons again this year. Matt Ryan had a fantastic game. He was getting the ball out under 3 seconds every time. So, I hope Zach was taking notes. Our defense obviously had a poor outing, the worst game they've had so far this year. But, I'm not going to expect them to play perfectly for an entire season when they're the only thing that's been keeping us afloat, for the last month. So I just think Matt Ryan had a fantastic day. He carved up our defense, short, easy throws. That's just what a veteran quarterback can do. And Matt Ryan put on a clinic, and good for them, man. They deserve to win that game from the second the first ball was snapped.
Oh, and it's so aggravating because the things that you just mentioned, like they can open these cans of worms and we can go in there. Like, for example, the working with John Beck. Interestingly, did you know, I'm 99% confident that he is also Josh Allen's and Sam Darnold's quarterback coach. I'm fairly confident about that. And last year, John Beck came out and said, I think it's John Beck. Either way, my point will remain the same. But it's interesting because last year, Sam Darnold's quarterback coach, who I think is John Beck, said that he has,
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. He has zero communication with the Jets coaches. Zero. So whatever they do over there, they come to, Sam comes back to the Jets facility and they don't communicate. They don't know. They don't talk about, hey, here's what I worked on with them. If you do this, that, or this. Adam Gase didn't even hire a quarterback coach. So he had all kinds of issues with people kind of telling him what to do or whatever the fuck that, whatever his issues were. But so this year, it's really going to be important and key to find out if LaFleur, first-time offensive coordinator, can do that. Is he okay with working with some other guy who's out there? Does he take it as like, hey, man, I know what I'm doing. I'm the offensive coordinator. And I don't know how that's going to work. But my hope is that Zach's quarterback coach outside and his quarterback coach offensive team inside can actually communicate and become a team around this guy. And if we can do that, I think there's hope. There's hope anyway, but I think there's greater hope for a fast turnaround. If we don't do that, and I'm going to be desperately trying to find out if we are communicating with his quarterback coach. But if they don't communicate, it's going to be a long road, man.
Absolutely. I think that's a good point that you bring up. I think that, it's not really something that we talk about a lot because it's just not brought up in conversation a lot, honestly. But the fact that, most quarterbacks in the NFL have relationships with guys outside of the NFL, outside of their respective organizations that they work with in the offseason. And especially for a rookie, a rookie who's been struggling. I mean, let's be real, like Zach Wilson has, if those two can kind of intermesh a little bit and share some information, because this isn't the Adam Gase era anymore, then yeah, I think it would obviously just be super beneficial for Zach, beneficial for Beck, beneficial for the Jets organization as a whole. So I don't see why there should be any closed doors when it comes to something like that. But yeah, I think that's a good point you bring up.
Yeah, and I'm concerned. And look, and this is the great thing about the chat, right? And this from your shows. They jumped right on it. Like, no, you're wrong. It wasn't John Beck. It was Jordan Palmer. And that's, as soon as you say it, I'm like, yep, okay. And I didn't feel right. Like I said, 99% sure, but that 1% was like 30%.
Allegedly,
yeah, exactly.
Like I said.
So, but it would see now. So it was Jordan Palmer, but the point remains the same. My hope is that Zach Wilson has a group of people around him that are all working in concert with one another. Because, like you said, the fact that he suddenly can't hit a guy that's 6 feet away from him, something's up. It's happening up here.
Yeah.
Now that'll bring me to another point there, and then I want to talk about the defense as well. Zach Wilson said, "I'm thinking too much, and I'm just going to rip it." How do you hear that? What does that sound like to you? Is that a positive? Is that a negative? What do you think we're talking about here?
I think that is that a direct quote from Zach?
Dude, he said, "Rip it, yo."
All right. Listen, I like it. I try not to put too much weight into anything that's not their play on the field, because in this day and age, social media and everything gets misconstrued, taken out of context. I was talking in a live stream earlier this week about somebody asked me how I felt about Maye Becton tweeting "Unleash Mims." And honestly, I didn't feel like it was necessary. We all feel that way, but for it to come from a player within the organization, I don't know what that necessarily does for the locker room at the time. So yeah. I just think stuff like that you keep to yourself. So when it comes to comments that these guys are making to the media or stuff that they're tweeting, I really try to take everything with a grain of salt, and I try to focus, on what I see on Sunday. But I think that's what we all want to hear from Zach, right? Clearly, he does look to be in his head a little bit too much. I would like to see him, quote unquote, rip it. And we've seen success with that this year against the Tennessee Titans. But at the same time, Zach kind of needs to take a step back and maybe go back to the drawing board a little bit and get his mechanics down, get his footwork down pat, where he's not throwing off his back foot more often than he should be. You should never be throwing off your back foot unless you're running for your life, trying to make an improvisational type play happen. And I just feel like Zach's got to settle down, get back to basics. There's been 5 or 6 blatant throws over the past 2 weeks that you're like, damn, Zach, like that's not on the receiver, not catching it. Like that's on you, just throwing a shit ball. So that's got to stop, man. Rookie or not, he made it to the big leagues. He's a quarterback in the NFL, so he's got to hit the open throws that he needs to hit. I mean, I keep going back to that thought, and even though we won the game, I keep going back to that play, that little out route to Corey Davis that could have just sealed the game with a couple kneel downs after that, and Zach just sailed it. That just can't happen, man. He's got to get better at that, and I understand that he's a rookie. He's going to make those mistakes, but he's got to get better. I mean, 4 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in 5 games. It's not good. We all have faith in Zach. I'm not tearing Zach down right now. Zach's going to improve. He's going to. I am manifesting that. But we're in a tough spot right now. An early bye is almost a good thing this year, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like this is, Salah said it really well. He said, they save the later buys for teams that they think are going to go to the playoffs. So they, give them an opportunity to get healthy later in the year. And he said, so here we are. We're a 2-14 team. Coming into this year. So here, first week of buys, that's us. We're on the bottom rung. He said, but I think this couldn't come at a better time for this young team. We had training camp. We came in. It was a whirlwind and everything. And now, we're kind of caught up. Some units are settling down. The offensive line, the cornerbacks have been playing well. The linebackers have been playing well. The defensive line was playing well until Atlanta. They weren't able to get to Matt Ryan. But before that, they were really one of our better units. So it's like now just taking a minute and really focusing on the offense, I would say, for the most part, and just trying to get this together so we can forge into the rest of the season, I think is probably a pretty good placement for our particular buy. And plus, we had a lot of injuries on the front end, so this gives guys like Jared Davis and some others the opportunity to come back and play, which is going to be an interesting thing. We'll see how the Jared Davis Quincy Williams thing goes. We don't know. Quincy Wilson is Quincy Williams, he's been playing well.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that as far as Quincy Williams? He was taken off the scrap heap, playing well, man, and they're basically insinuating that when Jared Davis comes back, it's his job. So what do you think about that? You think that's right, wrong, indifferent? You think they should figure out a way to get all three of them on the field? Where do you stand?
I kind of picture Robert Saleh as a guy that what he's seen from Quincy Williams so far, I can't picture him, just removing him from the action just because Jared Davis is back. We were excited for Jared Davis in the offseason. We saw a lot of untapped potential in him. It was definitely an improvement from, what we had last year. But, the fact is that we got Quincy Williams as a waiver claim from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's been absolutely dominant for the past couple weeks. So I just can't see, Robert Saleh completely eliminating him from the action. At the same time, I don't see Robert Saleh completely, ignoring the fact that Jared Davis is back healthy and ready to contribute to this defense. So I think it's definitely going to be interesting, man. I can't really nail it down right now as to who I think is going to be out there more often than the other. I would say that they're definitely both going to get their reps. At least I would hope so, man, because Quincy Williams is just a straight up demon out there, man. And I love the fact that he went from just a fan favorite signing because obviously of his being Quinnen's brother to now we actually need him out there. Look forward to seeing him out there. He's been a dog for the past couple games. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh handle that situation with Jared Davis coming back. But it's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah, I would say so. But it is interesting. It's like so far I haven't and this, I want to say this with a grain of salt, we have rookie head coach, rookie offensive coordinator, really rookie defensive coordinator, rookie quarterback coach, rookie quarterback, so there's a lot of that going on, and they're going to learn on the job and make their mistakes. That said, I'm not really in love with a nice chunk of their personnel decisions. Obviously, Denzel Mims, which I'm sure we'll talk about. I really think that Tevin Coleman's getting too much of the offense. So that's one thing. I didn't like the decision of starting George Fant over Morgan Moses. So I don't like the fact that they're using tight ends split out wide in the X receiver role. I don't like how they have Elijah Moore out wide. So there's a lot of that type of stuff, which leads me to question their wisdom, at least at this point, with their personnel decisions. So like if Quincy Wilson's lumping people up, which he is, and then you take Jared Davis, and then we have to deal with kind of his rust. I don't know how much I'm going to love that. And I'm a big Jared Davis supporter. Loved the signing, man, more than most. People were calling me a loser and an idiot when it first happened because they wanted Thuney, and we fucking got Jared Davis. He was like, yeah, what is this? This loser from Detroit. I'm like, no. He's going to be good, man. Matt Patricia ruined him. And so I'm excited about him. But my hope would be, hey, let's run a standard 4-3. and let's keep Mosley. Let's push Jared Davis to the mic where he's supposed to be. Let's push, Mosley to the Sam, and let's use Quincy in the Will. Let's see how let's get dude. If we have players that are playing well, figure out a way to get them all on the field. And that's my issue with Mims, but it's going to be really interesting. I'm very curious to see what the chat thinks about that. Are you going to be happy that if we bench Williams for Jared Davis? What do you guys think? So, hey, I want to make mention to something I see in the chat, and I'm going to fucking slam this one home. I want you guys to know that all off season, I told every last one of you that one of our biggest needs was tight end. I said it superseded wide receiver. It superseded everything else except for offensive line. And people laughed me out of the room for months, Jack. They laughed at me. Tight end. Now, every single day, I look at it on Twitter. I'm seeing it in the chat here. We just need a tight end. We should trade Maye for a tight end. Tight end. When are you guys going to listen to me? I told you we needed a friggin' tight end. It's one of those things. When you look at a group and you have Tyler Kroft and Ryan Griffin, you bring on a young guy like Kenny Yeboah who can't see the field for whatever reason. Dude, I'm telling you, I told her, dude, tight end is a need, man. And it's one of those things. Tight end is a really important position when you have a young quarterback. I mean, for any quarterback, but particularly a young quarterback who is going to need those outlets. He's not going to see the field as quickly as maybe a Matt Ryan or somebody. And just having that tight end peeling off his chip and just laying it right into his hands, somebody who can get open, catch it, and get some yards for his quarterback. And we don't really have that. I mean, I think Griffin might be a little bit better than he looks because Zach keeps missing him. At the same time, this tight end love all of a sudden, I want to choke people sometimes, Jack. I want to, this is my thing, tight end. I get made fun of, man. What do you think about the tight ends?
Listen, it's a tragedy, our current tight end situation. And I'm with you, man. You can't undervalue the importance of a tight end, both obviously in the blocking game and as a receiver. And if you look at what's been happening in the NFL over the past, 4 or 5 years or so, it's kind of a revival of the tight end position with, guys like Travis Kelce and George Kittle and Darren Waller just exploding onto the scene and becoming really the number one targets for their team at tight end. And that's what you have now. Kyle Pitts came into the league this year and torched us last week. And, we thought it was a good idea to put our edge rushers on him. But we'll get into that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
that goes back to your point a couple of minutes ago about personnel decisions, which I agree with you. And I hope they do get it right when it comes to Jared Davis and Quincy Williams. But going back to the tight end, where the hell was Kenny Yeboah this week, man? I mean, we were hyped. Yeboah's being elevated. I mean, we should have known, right? We should have known with everything that's going on with Mims. Yeah, you knew. Yeah, exactly. We should have known with everything that's going on with Mims and all that BS. We should have known we were going to see absolutely none of Kenny Yeboah, and we got no Kenny Yeboah. But what we did get was a 5-yard route on 3rd and 9 from Ryan Griffin. So that's where we're currently at. And it's a tragedy, man, because everybody knows the tight end is the quarterback's best friend, and Zach has none right now, and he's certainly struggling. We can't get the ball into Elijah Moore's hands. We have no tight end, so this has to be a very offensive, heavy focused bye week.
Yeah, I think so, man. And there's a lot of talk about bring in another offensive coordinator or at least an offensive consultant. And then, there's talk about like trading guys and bringing in a vet quarterback. There's all kinds of, in my opinion, overreaction. Like, I'm not against them bringing anybody in, but I don't think any of that's going to happen. I think they're going to take this time to gather the people they have in the building and go, okay, what is happening? You know what I mean? What just happened? We're going into week 6. I don't even know what happened, So I think that, bringing in a new mind, a new energy, I think could potentially be counteractive to what we're trying to accomplish, which is to settle everything down and get back to basics.
I agree.
So, hey, Ali's here too. I want to say hello to Ali and Richie. It's good to have you guys with us, man. Supporting your boy Jack, who's just awesome sauce so far.
What up,
we're
boys?
having a good time. Yeah, it's good to see you guys. Right on. So thanks for popping in. We do have a super chat, Jack. I want to let me get to that. Sneakers to Boots, thank you, my friend. I do appreciate it. He says, us Jets fans will search anywhere for positivity. That's why we're the best fans. Rest in peace, Greg Knapp's football IQ can't go unnoticed. He was the teacher of our offense. Get Mims involved, LaFleur, please. So that's a really good point. And we've been, I think it's a little bit safer these last maybe week or two to kind of talk about Greg Knapp. At first, we were all like, hey, man, let's just, out of respect for the actual tragedy, let's not talk so much about the Jets, how it affects the Jets. But the truth is that this coaching staff was created very deliberately. It was like young guy, vet guy, young guy, vet guy. We had, first-time offensive coordinator, we had Greg Knapp. Then you had first-time quarterback coach, and you had John Benton. So it was like, it was seemingly tailored in such a way to balance it all out. And we lost the linchpin, who was Greg Knapp, one of the most respected coaches in the world. Do you think that's kind of what's happening? What we're seeing is LaFleur kind of got left out in the dark by himself, and he's just trying to piece things together? Or do you think that's an overreaction that LaFleur is just maybe not up to where we thought he is?
Listen, if I'm being frank, I think it's probably a bit of both, honestly. Obviously I'm giving LaFleur a long leash, 5 games. I'm not judging Zach Wilson or LaFleur or Robert Saleh on 5 games. You just can't do it. So, I think that obviously the presence of Greg Knapp would have made things, easier on him for sure. But at the end of the day, Greg Knapp wasn't hired to be our offensive coordinator. He was hired as the passing game coordinator.
Right.
And, no disrespect at all, but you can't tell me that a passing game coordinator is going to come and change the offense of your entire organization single-handedly, basically, is what, people are making it out to be like. And, I obviously know that the offense probably would be looking better with Knapp there for sure. But I also think we're putting a lot of weight into a passing game coordinator spot when the reality is that our OC looks like a deer in the headlights for the last 5 weeks in a row. So obviously, yes, I do think Greg Knapp's presence would be beneficial to this organization, but I don't think LaFleur escapes without blame because Knapp isn't here.
Yeah, that's really well said, I think. Like, it has to end at some point. Like, was Knapp supposed to be the coordinator? No. So, there has to be a place where LaFleur is kind of, put to the grindstone here. It's like, no, man, like, you're the offensive coordinator. He was here to help you. I still think, like you said, though, and I agree, that there was going to be some benefit there. Maybe his ability to kind of help him process things, going, you want to rethink that move maybe because of X, Y, and Z. But I think the hiring of Matt Cavanaugh was about as good of a response as you could have gotten. Cavanaugh's been a quarterback coach and a offensive coordinator in the NFL for a long time as well. He was actually Mark Sanchez's quarterback coach in 2009 and 10 and 11. So he's got some experience here, but I don't think he's quite to Greg Knapp's standards, but we'll see. And that, they all need time to kind of gel. But yeah, thanks, Sneakers to Boots. I'm really hoping Mims can get involved too. I want to stay. We'll get back to Mims in a minute. Sneakers to Boots. I want to stick with the LaFleur kind of stuff and the offense, and that'll get us. We'll wrap it up with Mims because that's more of a meaty sandwich right there. So there are guys. Where was he? Gitmo Bob is coining a phrase here. I'm seeing it a couple times now. I don't know if he made it up or not, but he's definitely liking it. So Gitmo Bob says, "Where is Yeboah? Where is Mims? It's all LaFraud." So do you think now this is an interesting one? LaFraud,
That's great.
Mike LaFraud, yeah. Gitmo, he's funny. So do you think it's like that it's just he's not able to figure out how to use these guys? Like Mims is, we've heard this all offseason. He's not the prototypical wide receiver build for this offense. He's not used to seeing these types of guys. More the Elijah Moore kind of a guy, Jamison Crowder and all that. Do you think that he's just having a problem, like kind of figuring out how to use a guy like Mims, like Yeboah? Or do you think that it's just like, no, man, we, they're building the offense and these guys aren't ready? Like, how do you see all that?
I mean, looking at it from what I've, what we've all witnessed over the last 5 weeks, all the reports in training camp leading up to, where's Mims going to be? Where's Mims going to be? He's not with the ones. He's with the threes. Now he's with the two, whatever the hell's going on with Mims. I think it comes down to maybe just stubbornness, pigheadedness from the offensive coaching staff. I mean, I can't put my finger on what else it could be, because when he does get on the field, he catches 30+ yard receptions. So it's just troubling, man. It's troubling, and this is not a disrespect to Braxton Berrios. I do like what he brings to this team. I think he plays with a chip on his shoulder. I'm not knocking Berrios, but you can't tell me that Berrios is going to be in the rotation as a wide receiver over Denzel Mims. As a punt returner, for sure. I don't really want anybody else, risking an injury returning punts. Braxton Berrios can do the punts. Love it. I'm cool with it. But, the fact that, and it just feels so discombobulated. Even a guy like Keelan Cole. Keelan Cole has stepped up with a couple big grabs this year. Get him in the mix. I mean, it should be, without a doubt, Jeff Smith. What the hell? What are we doing here with Jeff Smith on the active roster, man? Like, I don't want to hear well, the 1 through 3 need to know this, 4 and 5, special teams, whatever. Jeff Smith doesn't belong on the active roster. It's Corey Davis. It's Elijah Moore. It's Keelan Cole. It is Denzel Mims. And it's Braxton Berrios as the 5th wide receiver / special teamer. I don't see how
Crowder
it's
too.
Yes. Okay. Crowder.
Right.
So yeah, I guess Berrios is the 6th, the special teams, the special teams guy, it really leaves me scratching my head every week, man, because whenever we do see Mims on there, he's just making plays. And it's just to the point where I can't even nail it down. I don't even know what to think anymore, because every week we go, all right, that was crazy, but next week we're going to unleash Mims.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, it didn't happen, but next week. So now I just can't keep, I can't be insane. The definition of insanity is, repeating the same act and expecting, a different result. So I can't continue to do that. So I guess we'll see what happens with Denzel Mims, man. But we need him on the field. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, and look, and it's really such a good point, and it doesn't mean any disrespect to Jeff Smith, right? It's like, hey, man, I like Jeff Smith. In truth, I like Vincent Smith better, but that's a whole different thing. They're on a different tier. Those two guys are on a different tier, as is Braxton Berrios, than guys like Denzel Mims, who, in my opinion, is the best receiver on the entire team. And we've carved out this little kind of niche that he has to learn more than anybody else because of the way you put him on the roster. Well, he has to learn 5 positions because he's that sounds like you're making it harder to get good players on the team. And I really don't like it. And then the fact that we can't seem to get the ball into Keelan Cole, into Elijah Moore with any space. Like, the only time we're getting it to them is when Zach Wilson does an off schedule and just flings it down the field, and therefore they can get the ball. But we're really not able to, with any consistency, do that. And that, to me, is where the larger portion of the confusion is. And that's when you see Zach saying, hey, I'm thinking too much. Well, I think that this offensive scheme might be causing him to think too much. And that's what's going on. When we can't get guys like Denzel Mims on the field, like Kenny Yeboah. Look, and I'm not saying Kenny Yeboah is ready, but I think he is probably ready to get a couple flicks, to get to get in the game. That's, he's known for having very good hands. He's known for, being able to find the open spot, and he's known for yards after the catch. He has very wide receiver-like abilities. Now, he's raw, so that's all well and good. But like you said, we elevated him to the active roster, and then Ryan Griffin and Braxton Berrios are like the focal points of our offense. And I think that's where the problem really is. I don't think that's what their intentions were, but it just kind of happened. That's why the bye week is so incredibly important, because it's like, holy shit, how did we get there? How is Ryan Griffin and Berrios where we're focused? And we have all this talent all over the place. Crowder, Moore, Mims, Davis, and Braxton Berrios and Ryan Griffin are seeing the field the most and seeing the most targets. And it's really kind of crazy. So, go on, please.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's also I feel like there's this lack of consistency between the offense and the defense as well in that regards. Why is it okay to throw all these young corners to the Wolves? But we can't get it into Elijah Moore's hands. Denzel Mims isn't ready. We can't go out and sign a veteran quarterback. Like, there's just inconsistencies when you look at how they're handling stuff like that. And I understand that having too many, capable receivers is a fantastic problem to have. But a good coaching staff, especially with an offense as bad as we've been, a good coaching staff will find ways to get playmakers on the field making plays. So the fact that we haven't seen any of Denzel Mims, and then, his first 2 grabs of the season, I think he got another catch that game. I think he's got 3 grabs on the season now. Yeah. But his first 2 catches, it was 2 catches for like 67 yards or something like that.
Yep, that's exactly right.
That's 33 and a half yards per reception that he averaged to start the year.
Jack,
but we can't get him on the field.
In the NFL. He's number 1 with yards per target or per reception. He's leading go, like, how do you he had 3 plays week 1, 40-yard reception. He had 8 plays last week, 2 catches for 33 yards. Like, you got Keelan Cole running out there all day long. He's not doing that. So why is Keelan Cole ahead of him? And that's the thing. I think, like, it's just, it really is important for this offensive staff to reevaluate everything that they're doing. Take a look. Like, maybe you're overvaluing practice. You know what I mean? Like, Mims, he doesn't have that outgoing personality. He's known as an introvert. He's just mellow. But when he gets in the game, he's a gamer. Matt Rule knew that. Whenever they were in a tight situation, they had 3 seconds left or 4th and 13. They always went to Mims at Baylor because he's clutch. He has ice in his veins. He's not too high. He's not too low. He's like, I'm just going to go out there and play football. And he's a gamer. So learn how to use that instead of like, I want you to be more aggressive in practice. Like, who gives a shit about practice,
I don't want to hear that word anymore.
Yeah, I know. I'm tired. Mims, a great week of practice. Yeah.
Who cares?
Clearly, that doesn't mean he's going to play, so I can't wait till he has a bad week of practice. Maybe then they'll throw him in.
Yeah, then he'll have 8 receptions.
Yeah. So, Richie, thank you from Jets Media, a super chat. I appreciate it. You're the man, GreenBean. No, you're the man, Richie. And Jack is the man. I do appreciate you guys, and obviously I feel the same way about Ali, who was on here 2 weeks ago. Or was it last week? It all smears together. But Ali was with us as well. I love you guys, man. I think this is you guys are a great group, and I'm happy to spend as much time as I can with you guys. So, but thank you, Richie. I appreciate the token, the gesture, and the cash. So thank you.
I speak for all of us that we love you too, man. We love us some GreenBean. So it's always a pleasure getting to talk to you, man.
That's awesome. No, thank you, Jack. I'm touched. I truly am.
Absolutely.
So, so let's see what else we got here. Talking about, let's wrap up the Mims thing with this. Do you think, with what we've just talked about, that every time he gets on the field, it happened again in London, do you think that they're going to realize it? Do you think that they are going to now say, okay, clearly the guy he's a huge target for Zach Wilson. He's on the field. He's impactful. He's effective. Do you think this is over? Do you think we're going to see him just as part of the offense now?
I would like to think so, but based on what we've seen so far this year, this seems like a coaching staff that is really kind of set on their vision and kind of unwilling to deviate from that. So, he had a 40-yard reception a couple weeks back, and then we didn't see him for a couple more weeks after that do anything. So, I don't know, man. I would think that the time is obviously now to truly unleash Denzel Mims, but who knows what these guys are going to do, man. But I would like to think so, for sure.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah, me too, man. And I think, like, the way I've been kind of the way it's tossing around in my head is that if they don't use him now, like moving forward, after what we've seen, 8 plays, 2 catches, 3 plays, 1 catch, when you got guys out there all day and can't seem to get open for 1 play, I think that if they don't use him now, it's a conscious effort to ignore what's right in front of their face, and that would be concerning for you. I'm not really concerned yet. It's aggravating, but I'm not like concerned. Like, we have a lot. These guys are learning in the fast lane. and with the New York fans and New York media up their asses too. So we're all over them. We're all over them. So it's probably not an easy environment to learn your new position. At the same time, it's frustrating on our end because we got this guy. Finally, we have the receiver like that so many other teams get. The DK Metcalf who slides, the Michael Thomas who slides to the second, Terry McLaurin slides. And finally, we get that guy. Get the guy who was, by all accounts, a first-round pick. He slides to 58, and he's ours. And we can't figure out how to get him on the field. So it's I'd like to hope that it gets.
And then we do the same thing the year after with a guy that wears number 8, and even though we've gotten him on the field, can't seem to get him the ball. So it's interesting, these second round wide receivers and how we choose to use or not use them.
Yeah, and look, man, the truth is we have a long list of second round wide receivers who have not worked out for us. All the way back, you had like Ryan Yarbrough. This is going to be a little bit before your time, but like guys like Ryan Yarbrough, Alex Van Dyke, obviously Stephen Hill, Devin Smith, all these guys. Like we used the second round on a wide receiver often. Oh my God, that guy. I didn't want him. Hill. I remember that. They were calling him, they said he had the measurables of Megatron. I'm like, but here's the thing. I get it. He's the same height. He's the same speed. He's the same weight. All those, that's great. He doesn't catch the football. Megatron caught the football. Like, that's key. That's fucking key.
It is key, man.
And Stephen Hill, he's what we call the body catcher. He was like in the basket. You know what I mean? Like, look, man, I've been teaching my son how to catch football since he's 2 years old. The first lesson was get your hands out in front of you. Catch with your hands. And that's the thing. When you see a receiver, he's in the NFL, and every catch he needs to like corral it like in the back. Like, that's not good, dude. No. That's not good. He's jumping up, trying to catch it. Like what is that?
No, man. And that's what Mims doesn't do. Mims is a contested catch beast. So
all hands. Perfect.
Let's get him out there.
I know, I love Mims. But I think I'm going to choose to be hopeful here, and I think that we're on the back end of the Mims experiment. I think that he's come on and shown right away. People have thrown at me, maybe Zach and him don't get along. Maybe they're not working well together. Well, it looks like they work together to me. Because when he walks on the field, when they put him out in a route, he gets open, Zach throws in the ball, and he gets a few yards, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards, yak, like it's nothing. He's so big and strong that Mims getting 6 yards after the catch, it almost seems like he just fell down and he gets 6 yards. Like, the guy is a yak machine. And it's just, dude, we don't have the tight end. 6'3" wide receiver who jumps out, great vertical, super long arms, great hands, blocks well. Like, what the hell's happening? Why can't we use this guy? You bring up a good point with Elijah Moore, though, too. Because even though he did get the pass interference, that's great. It still counts. It's not a reception, but it counts. It's a 50-yard pass play, if you will. And but overall, we have had an inability with getting him open in space. It's like, I don't know if we're predictable or whatever, but nobody seems to be fooled by what we're doing. And I saw some plays where Zach Wilson wasn't really selling the fakes and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you caught wind of any of that stuff, some breakdowns guys were doing. And but we have a lot to work on, Jack. We really do.
And I'm not even looking for anything crazy elaborate. I mean, I just want to see Elijah Moore run 3 yards down the field, plant, run a nice little slant, and I want the ball to be right there, and I want him to just catch the ball in full stride. Is that too much to ask? Let's see what the guy can do when he gets the ball in full stride and has even a yard of space to work with. I'm not asking for, anything crazy. I just want to see the ball in the guy's hands when he has he has an opportunity to go make a play. I remember it was early in the year, maybe week 1 or week 2. No, it was week 2. I was at the game, and the ball went to Elijah Moore, and it could have been a touchdown, but Elijah Moore caught it and had to go out of bounds just because of where he was on the field and where Zach threw the ball. Plays like that, you obviously want back because we really want to unleash Elijah Moore on the league now. We want to unleash Mims. We want to unleash Elijah Moore. 2 second-round draft picks taken 1 year apart. that Jets fans have been extremely high on since day one. And Elijah Moore has been getting recognition from, guys around the league. Odell Beckham saying, Elijah Moore is about to be an all-pro, maybe even in his rookie year. So let's see some of that, man, because we're going to have to answer to people at the end of this year for stuff like that.
Right. I know, and it's like on us as being fans, like on just a very fan level, it sucks when you have friends of yours that are other teams. They look and you go, "What happened to Elijah Moore?" I was expecting. You're like, come on, like I don't want to answer those questions. I don't want to deal with that crap out there. What happened? I thought Elijah Moore. Didn't you guys draft Elijah Moore? Yeah. What happened? I don't know. We don't know how to use him. We have to split out wide, and I don't know. It's weird.
I hear it even more because I took Corey Davis in fantasy this year, and I was preaching. Although he's on pace for a good year, but he's just got to get his consistency down pat, But yeah, I've been getting a lot of flack for drafting Corey when I did. So, but it's all good, man. This is life as Jets fans. We signed up for this stuff.
It is. I've heard you can never bet the Jets, man, and that includes fantasy football. They'll get you.
Yes, it does. Yes,
they will.
Time. They will get you.
I want to acknowledge Adrian Gutierrez. He's a Niners fan, and he's been popping in, man. And he's hanging out over here because of Saleh. The Jets hiring Saleh piqued his interest, and he comes and hangs out. And I want to say hello, Adrian. One thing I will comment, what did he say here? He said something about Mark Sanchez. Basically, he's yelling at us for saying Sanchez sucks. There's some guys in the chat saying Mark Sanchez sucks. And Adrian Gutierrez, there he is. I'm a Niner fan becoming a Jets fan because of Saleh. Well, know it's going to be rough, Adrian. This isn't the Niners, my friend. But we're glad to have you here. You've been cool. I've seen you a few times, and you've always been cool. So, but there it is. He said Sanchez took the Jets to 2 AFC championship games. Have some respect. Now, I will second that. I'll say we shouldn't say he sucked. But one thing, Adrian, that Jets fans are acutely aware of, that maybe the standard onlooker might not be, is that team was so good. Sanchez was actually the weak link on that team, and Sanchez was
the weakest link.
Yeah, he was number one in turnovers for both of those years in the NFL. So we definitely would have won it. He played well at times. He did. And there were games where he was, a big part of our victory. But overall, Mark Sanchez was a liability that they had to kind of scheme around to protect him. And so that's why Jets fans, looking at it from a very emotional standpoint, it's like, shit, man, if we would have just had like a Fitzpatrick, we would have ended up winning 2 Super Bowls. So that's where that comes from, Adrian.
That team was so good.
Weren't they? They were the best. That's where a lot of you guys came in, isn't it? Isn't that where like a large chunk of Jets fans kind of jumped on board? Like, wow, the Jets are great.
Not necessarily jump on board. I've been, ever since I can remember, watching every game in the basement with my dad. But those years were definitely the first time in my life where it was like, wow, like this is what it feels like to be a fan of like a good team. And it's been a decade since that, and I'm ready to have that feeling back, man, because there's literally nothing like it. Even, as I was, 10 years old, 11 years old. Now, more like 12, 13 during those years. But, just magical times. What a great roster we had from all the absolute studs we had, and Revis, Cromartie, Bart Scott, Harris, to, our incredible offensive line.
The best.
With the run game in I believe it was it LaDainian Tomlinson and maybe Sean Green?
Yeah, the first year it was in 2009, Thomas Jones and Thomas Jones, maybe Sean Green. No, Sean Green was the next year, 2010. So yeah, it was Thomas Jones and who I forget. But then we got LT and Sean Green. Yeah, and that was, man, they were good, dude. They were good, and that was so fun because Rex was a Jets fan. So he came on board and he was just like, he was one of us. Yeah. He was telling her, remember he would say shit like, people were like, a lot of people are saying that because the way you talk, it puts a target on your back. He said, good, we already have a target on your chest. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. Yeah. It's like, finally, man.
Love it.
It burned off quick, though.
New York fans eat that kind of stuff up, man. But yeah, you're right. It faded away very quickly. But you always wonder what could have happened, man, if we won even one Super Bowl in one of those years. Rex Ryan could still be our coach today. You never know. You never know.
Did you know, Jack? I don't know if you know this. I'm going to show you right now. I got the opportunity. I had field passes in Miami for the last game of Rex Ryan's career as a Jet head coach. And we were standing on the field during the Jets practice, and the kid next to me had a sign. It said, "Thank you, Rex." So he walked over, and CBS followed him. And I was there with my kids and my wife, and he walked over and hung out with us for a minute. And somebody caught it on TV, and they sent me a screenshot here. So I'm going to show you. Here it is. Here's me. There we go. You see it? There's me meeting Rex Ryan. My little son. Look at my little son. He's wearing this hat, actually. There's my wife. And, so that's Rex was fired about 4 hours later.
Wow.
That was the perfect Geno Smith game. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't. But that's a great shot, man. That is I'm sure that's a pretty cool moment in your life to look back on.
Yeah, that was a good one. Definitely a lot of fun. So, but yeah, Rex, I wish it worked, man. That was for so many reasons.
And it did work. It did work for a while, but then you get a short leash in New York, man. As soon as things start going haywire, you're out of there.
That's it. And they gave Rex a little bit more leash, but the whole shit with Idzik, it's like an arranged marriage. It was a mess. It was never going to work, and it's sad, man. It's sad the way that ended. So we got a super chat from Adam S. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. He says, AVT is a stud. How is Becton coming? Run the ball. Wow, that's a jam-packed little super chat there. So I'll throw that to you real quick. What do you think about AVT? I mean, first 2 weeks, people were saying, maybe just alluding to that maybe the trade up using 2 third-round picks and a first to move up to get him, maybe we were presumptuous, a little premature. He has settled down very nicely after a rocky first 2 or 3 weeks. What do you think of AVT? You think he's the real deal, or do you think he just got lucky the last couple weeks? How do you see it?
I look at a guy like AVT, and I did not hear a single bit of bad press about him from anybody in the NFL analytical pre-draft world, whatever you want to call those guys, whether it was Kuiper or Daniel Jeremiah or anybody with a blue check mark next to their name on Twitter that you can think of. Nobody had a single bad thing to say about Elijah Vera Tucker. And any player, regardless of how good you are in college, there's going to be that transition to the next level that's going to be challenging for even the best of players. So obviously, AVT did get off to a little bit of a shaky start, but when you look at the performance that he had last week, man, he was just moving grown men all over the field for 4 quarters. So, I think the sky's the limit for him. And, once Becton gets back from injury, which answers the second part of this super chat, and now to answer the third part, we will run the ball behind Mekhi Becton and Elijah Vera Tucker. That's a 3-parter right there, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So now let me ask you this. It's a very similar question to the Jared Davis, Quincy Williams thing. Are you sticking Becton back in there? The offensive line seems to be gelling together. Do you want to throw a linchpin, a stick in the spokes to get Becton back in there, or are you keeping Fanton at left tackle?
I'm throwing Becton back in there for sure. I think that Becton, just like I just said with AVT, I think the sky's the limit for Becton. I think he has, in terms of what his ceiling can be, he might have, one of the highest ceilings in the NFL. He could, if things click for Mekhi Becton, a man of his size, he could be a truly dominant player. So I'm getting Becton back in there and getting him all the reps I can as soon as he's healthy. Yeah. Absolutely.
I completely agree. I think, it's not even a question for me. Now, question would be if Greg Van Roten, who is settling down, he's still not good, still not where we want him, but he's not nearly as bad as he was those first 3 weeks. The question for me would be like, hey, man, if Isaiah Wilson, another guard we have, or maybe even Ross Pierschbacher, who I'm a big fan of, nobody knows about Ross. He's on our practice squad. I was screaming his name in 2019 draft, man, when we took Wesco. But so if we're not going to use one of those guys, I would consider maybe taking a Fant and sticking him in at guard. Just keep the best guys on the goddamn field, pardon my French. Just keep them up there. Becton on the left, Moses on the right with Fant and AVT at the guards. Dude, you know, if Greg Van Roten can't do it, I'm tired of waiting for him. But I think they like him. But anyway, that would be where my concern is. I mean, my thoughts are, but I'm with you, man. I don't think I wait 10 seconds to stick Becton back in there if he's healthy. Now, speaking of AVT, Watu chimes in and goes, oh, wait, that's not the one. Oh, there it is. He says, I still remember GreenBean not loving the trade on draft night. Now, okay.
Uh-oh.
See, this is what happens when you're in front of people as much as here. Look at him. He, you know, this is what happens when you talk so much, Jack. You know, I'm always on live and I'm always talking just how I feel at the moment. You know what I mean? People record it and go, asshole, you said this.
Yeah,
so,
man.
The truth is that I'm a huge draft pick nerd. Like I love the more picks, the better. Give me them. I want it for a fifth. Give me that guy. I'll send anybody away. That's how I am. So to give 2/3 to move up for that pick, initially I was bent out of shape. But the thing is I really had hoped that we would figure out a way to get AVT. So I was really wanting him. I just thought the price was a little high, but we did get a 4th back in return. So I was like, okay, we got the 4th. That helps. But I am very happy that we got the player. Like nobody talks about the 2nd-round pick that we gave up to move into the 1st to get Revis. Nobody ever mentions that pick. So if AVT ends up being AVT, that we hope he's going to be, I don't think we'll be talking too much about it. And I do like that Joe Douglas is aggressive. We've seen him acquire picks. We've seen him move back a lot. And now we've seen him jump up and get the guy that he wants to get. So Joe Douglas is an impressive mover and shaker, man. Whether you like his personnel decisions or not, I don't think too many people can deny his ability to get value for his trades and to move and slide throughout the draft at will. I don't think there's anybody that we've had that touches him in that capacity. So,
and I will say this as well about the AVT thing. I don't know how true this is, but I did read on Twitter that, you know, probably a month or two back as we were still in, you know, off-season time, training camp time, that Bill Belichick was obsessed with the idea of taking AVT at 15 and ended up having to settle for Mac Jones because we moved up and took AVT before the Patriots got their chance to get their hands on him. So if that's true, and we know that not only did we secure a young stud at left guard for the next decade, but we also screwed Belichick a little bit, then that makes it even better for me, man.
Yeah. Those, you know, it's like a little side of fries. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm going out to get a burger, but it's always nice to get a side of fries, you know?
Side of fries. That's a great, I'm going to start using that, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's like, right. It's like the extra little sugar on these things. Like, you know, I wouldn't do that just only to screw Belichick. I wouldn't go to that restaurant only for the fries. I wanted the burger. I got the burger. It's nice to get the fries too. You know what I mean?
It's nice to get the fries, man.
Yeah. So now Matt Simon checks in, and I saw what you said too, Matt. You said that he and his family made it onto Hard Knocks. I wish I knew. Was that the Jets Hard Knocks? You got to give me more information. Maybe you can give me a clip or something. I'll put it up here. That's super cool. But he reminds us that at halftime, it's 21-7 Bucks. I'm not watching the game. I could be, but I'm not. My remote is, I don't know where it is, and that's literally the whole problem. I don't know where my remote is.
I got Brady and Godwin going right now, so I got to check the fantasy real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, we're looking pretty good.
So that's interesting. So we're looking at a pretty aggressive Tampa Bay team. You know, last week against the Patriots, they did come out with the victory, but I think that their showing wasn't quite as positive as they had hoped. I think Belichick did a really good job slowing Brady down. And hey, that was a good matchup for the ages. But at the end of the day, Patriots are 1-4. Brady beat them, and that's all that that's what it all boils down to. So nobody cares about anything else. But hey, I want to say hello to Jets by Jimmy. What's up, buddy? I see you in the house here. Yeah, and look, so other guys are saying get Becton back in too, and that'll lead me to the running game, and then we'll I want to move over into the defense shortly, and then I want to get into like how our players are actually doing. Like we'll take a minute. Watu2K's compiled some numbers for us, and we're going to bring him on and see what we really look like, man. We can have our
Absolutely.
feelings, right? We can say I think, I feel, but numbers are numbers, so we'll see what they
Yeah.
look like. But as far as our running game, and Raw Power says get Becton back in, and like you started to say before with the super chat from Adam, that when Becton comes back in, Becton and ABT together, that might improve the running game. What do you think's going on with the running game? I think we're abandoning it a little too quick. Like it seems to be effective a lot of the time, and then we just don't use it. Last week we seemingly could have run at will on them, and then we just stopped using it. What do you think the issue is? Do you like Michael Carter? Like, how do you see the running game overall?
First of all, love Michael Carter. I think he's proven to be a great pick. I think he's got that spark, that juice that we all expected him to have. He's very shifty.
Yeah.
And he could be used, equally as effectively as a pass catcher than he is as he is just a straight up running back. So, love Michael Carter. I'll get that out of the way first. But I think with the lack of running prowess, that we've showed this year, I think it ultimately comes down to maybe this coaching staff is, getting a little bit in their heads at this point. Maybe they know that the offense has been crap. They need to start putting points on the board. Traditionally, the way you do that is by heaving the ball downfield, not by running up the gut. But, they got to get back into their heads and understand that, we really are truly building this thing from the ground up yet again. And I know we've all said that, many times throughout our lives now as Jets fans. But we truly are in the first year of a rebuild now. I mean, Adam Gase is gone. We've got a new head coach, a rookie quarterback, new staff all over the place. So this is, year one of a rebuild. I think this offensive coaching staff is just in way over their heads right now. And I feel like the way that they see to get out of this is not by running the ball, is by letting Zach do his thing and hopefully, get more magical plays on tape like we had to Corey Davis and to Keelan Cole a couple weeks back against Tennessee. But, I don't know if that's exactly the way to go about it, man. I don't want to see this running game be abandoned. Zach Wilson needs this run game to pick itself up because, he's just continues to be running for his life almost every time he drops back to pass. So I just think it's, a lack of consistency with this coaching staff on offense. Inexperience within the coaching staff for sure. Just, not knowing when to call the right freaking plays, obviously, as we've seen over the last 5 games. So I think that, this running game is just a little bit of an afterthought to this offense right now, which I don't like. It kind of makes me nervous a little bit.
Right.
You bring in a veteran like Tevin Coleman, whose whole shtick was, well, he's been in this whole offensive system. He's been in this particular offensive system for his whole career, knows it in and out. He hasn't done much. Ty Johnson is somebody that we were all excited about. We were looking for something to be excited about at the end of a 2-14 season last year.
Yeah, totally.
And here comes Ty Johnson for the last couple weeks, and he looked good. He looked explosive. He looked like the only guy out there who actually gave a shit and wanted to be playing. Haven't seen anything from him this year. So I think this running game has just been pretty stagnant, man. And that's not taking away anything from what we've seen from Michael Carter, because, when he's got the ball in his hands more times than not, he makes the first man miss, and he at least, runs forward for 3 or 4 yards most of the time. But, I just think it could be much better. And obviously I do think we're missing Becton when it comes to the running game. Maybe not so much in the pass protection game, but I do think we're definitely missing Becton when it comes to, running the football.
Yeah. That's, look, you that was a very dense comment, and I agree with so much of what you just said. And I think, it is interesting to see, like you said, like Michael Carter, I just love him. I really do. Now, is he going to end up being one of those Emmitt Smith type of guys, Nick Chubb? Maybe not, but he's a quality back. He can get the hard yards. He can juke a guy or two. He can change direction rather quickly, and that's nice to see. He has the speed to get to the edge at times. So I really do like him. The Ty Johnson thing, where I didn't love Ty Johnson. I'm with you too. Like at the end of the year, it seemed like, okay, maybe we found something with this guy, because he did look positive. He's much better than Frank Gore, I'll tell you that. So it was like we were hoping that these guys as a 1-2 punch could do something. Ty Johnson has been an incredible liability in pass protection, and I think that's unfortunate. It's probably why he's bounced around so much. A few teams have let him go, and he's clearly talented with the ball in his hands, clearly. But I don't know how much he can be a part of any long-term plans. But that said, I think look, I'm still a big LaMichael Pirine supporter. I know a lot of people don't pay attention and they just want to jump on the crowd and lynch the poor fella. But I love him. I think he's not going to be a superstar, but I think he would help. He's a great pass blocker, gets to hard yards, all that sort of stuff. But I agree with you. I think that we need to focus, like we need to give Zach that running game. They have to be a viable threat. Like, so we ran the ball 17 times. There was one week, a couple weeks ago, I forget which game, we ran it 12 times. 12 running plays. The rest was on Zach's shoulders. So we're all criticizing him for not being able to do this, not being able to do that. But again, we're putting extra stress on him unnecessarily, because I do think that our running game could be doing something. And Chris DiNardo put up a comment that I grabbed. And Chris, I want to tell you, I was just watching your video earlier today about talking about Paul Stanley from Kiss lip syncing. I got to laugh at it. You guys, you and the guy you had on were good. And I disagree with you, by the way, Chris. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. He says the Jets offensive coordinator is in his look how fancy my calls are phase. Just run the ball. And I think that's pretty I think that's real. I think that's real. Like we talked about with Greg Knapp not being there, Mike LaFleur's kind of put out front, and he's trying to prove to his big brother, to Kyle Shanahan, to Robert Saleh, I can do this. And he's trying to prove something when it would probably be better if he just settled down, ran the ball, and got the offense going slowly, rather than trying to push the ball 25 yards down the field from the first play of the game or second play of the game, and then we're up in 3, down in 3, and we don't get more than 5 yards in the whole first quarter. It's like, settle down, stop trying to be somebody you're not, and just run the ball and short, quick plays for Zach. Let's start this thing slow and maybe get some drives and keep the defense resting on the sideline for once. So I agree with you, man. Now, I want to bring Y2K on in a moment. Now, what I want to talk about before we do that is just I just want to get your thoughts on the defensive backs before we do that, and then we're going to bring him on and get some numbers and everything. But how do you see it? Last week it was kind of weird because it looked like that was the first game that they got exploited, but it's not really the story, because we were playing a loose zone. We were giving these guys a lot of space. Even on, one play was 3rd and 2, and we were giving them 5 yards. Like, it doesn't make sense, and I don't know why we were doing that. So it looked like our defensive backs got taken advantage of a little bit, but from the naked eye, it looks like this batch of rookies and second-year late-round picks are playing well. Do you see that the same way? Are you concerned? Are you happy? Where do you stand with our defense?
I'm thrilled, honestly. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, I'm not expecting this defense to play perfect football for 17 games. Every unit in the league, whether it's the Cardinals offense or the Rams defense, every unit in the league is due for a bad game at some point. So, we had a bad game. Our can't put too much blame on those guys because, they've been keeping us afloat, keeping life in this organization for the last 5 weeks. So, one bad game, I'm not going to, cry about the performance of the defense. But I will say, and you know what, I'm kind of going to steal a point. Well, I'm definitely going to steal a point that you made on Jets Media, on our Jets Media live stream. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Tony Oden, man. How about that guy, our defensive backs coach? And I'm just going to steal the exact point that you made, man, because I've been thinking about it, and it was beautifully said. We told this guy, hey, we're going to give you a bunch of young guys. Some of them are undrafted. None of them were taken before the 4th round in the draft. And you're going to deal with a cabal of injuries. And you're going to have to get these guys ready to play at an NFL level. And he's done exactly that, man. So you put that so beautifully a couple weeks ago. I've been thinking about it. I've been repeating it on every live stream I've been on because it was a great point, because that man deserves credit, Tony Oden. Because these cornerbacks in particular, Bryce Hall, man, I know you're a huge Bryce Hall guy, so
Yeah.
I'll let you talk about Bryce Hall, but I mean, he's been absolutely fantastic. Michael Carter II, Brandon Eccles. How about a guy named Javelin Guidry, man?
Right.
In coverage, he's been solid. As a tackler, he's been, one of the best on our entire
Saved the
team.
day in the Titans game. Saved it.
Absolutely, man. So I can't say enough good things about this secondary. Clearly, we don't really need Marcus Maye, and he wants to go trader mode with his agent on Twitter now. So later, Marcus. We don't need you anyway. We're good with the guys we have. We're going with the young guys. This gritty batch of young stallions, if you will.
I like that.
In this secondary, man, I'm proud of these guys. I really am, because we all thought that this was probably going to be the weakest link of our team, was our secondary and our cornerbacks in particular. And they have certainly flipped that script over the last month or so. So I'm very proud of these guys for sure.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear you talk about Tony Oden, man. That's one of the guys I was actually excited when we hired him. And, it's funny. I've heard him speak a couple times. And I actually said, I got into a conversation with somebody, I think it was last year, maybe even the year before. I said, that's the kind of coach we need, man. Like, he was so analytical, but he was such a great communicator. Like, he could say things very technical, but say them in a way that are so easily digestible and understandable. And I actually said, man, we that's the kind of coach I want to see. And then when we got him, I was like, holy shit, this is fantastic. And then he's, if you listen to some of his press conferences early on, he's exactly that. And like, look at what he's done. I think that people were all concerned if we hire a good offensive coordinator that he'll get poached. Remember that concern? I don't want to hire anybody good because he'll get poached. It's like, let's not put the cart before the horse. But Tony Oden is somebody that in the next year or two, that's the guy that's going to get poached, and he's going to be a defensive coordinator in this league. He's just excelled in his position, and I couldn't be happier with the defensive backs. And it's really interesting. Like, look, Javelin Guidry is somebody that I'm still not in love with, but I gotta say, I'm really impressed with not so much his coverage. His coverage has been back and forth, but he's still played well. But his tackling, dude, and for a guy, that was one of the main concerns I had with him. In college, he was what I called a pussy. I mean, I just said, look, the guy's he doesn't tackle. He jumps on. He's a what the hell is the term? He's a sidestepper. So he sidesteps and jumps on somebody. Like, that's kind of how he tackles. But he looks to be improving on that. And he's made some fantastic open field tackles. And that, to me, is a credit to Tony Oden. Like, that's coaching. When you have a guy who has a legitimate deficiency and you see it worked on in the games, like they improve it, that is where coaching comes in. And I think Tony Oden I couldn't be happier with him. And he's an unsung hero, and I hope they do keep him quiet. Just let nobody even know Tony Oden's here, because he's a good one, man. But
Absolutely.
Like you said, I think that this was the department, the group that we thought was going to be the largest concern. And interestingly, they're one of the strong points of this team. And I couldn't be more excited for where they're going. If these guys work out, we're going to have our defensive backs together for 4 or 5 years minimum, all on the cheap. It's incredible.
It's a gamble that so far has paid off, because it's definitely a gamble, man. I mean, before the season begun, like we both just said, nobody was really feeling too much confidence in this Jets secondary at all. I mean, we had the most confidence in Bryce Hall at cornerback, and he's, a guy that showed a lot of potential last year, but, second-year player, injury concerns coming out of college. But, oh, boy, has he stepped up. And, man, the defensive backs just look like the best coached unit on our team. They look like they know what they're doing. They never look out of touch. The man coverage has been phenomenal whenever we do go into man and bring some heat. Man, I just can't say enough good things about this secondary. And as you put it beautifully, we could have these guys on the cheap all together as a unit for the next 4 years, man. So kudos to Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh for having the cojones to go with this roster, and obviously guys like LaMarcus Joyner were brought in. Who knows what they'd be looking like if a guy like that was out there helping these guys. But they're doing great. They're playing great football, man. So I don't have enough good things to say about these guys. Jeff Ulbrich as well deserves a lot of credit for really getting this defense into shape.
Yeah, agreed, man. And we got to remember he's a rookie too. I mean, he was the interim defensive coordinator last year for the second half of the year, but this is the first time he's done this as a full-time defensive coordinator. And even though he did get too cute last week, there's some ill-advised moves, but overall he's done a good job. He should be expected to make some mistakes as well. But I want to bring Watts UK 99, our good fella friend in the chat every week. Here he is. Are you ready, Adam? Are you good to come on? All right, so let's bring him on. He's going to talk some numbers. He says, "Come on." He's going to talk some numbers with us. So I wanted to kind of check with you on an overall level. Where do we stand? Now that we're in the bye week, what are we really looking like? We've had lots of ups and downs, man. Peaks and valleys from an overall perspective, also on the just like positional units and stuff. So what do we look like? Where do our Jets stand going into this bye week?
All right, so if we're looking at the overall DVOA, which is like a pretty common thing that we're starting to use at this point,
right?
I'm going to break down each unit. Overall, we are at 29. Last week didn't change as much as maybe I thought it would have. The offense is 32nd. Than less, so nowhere to go but right.
Yeah, that's not good.
Defense did drop a little bit. Defense is 21st overall, and here's the interesting thing, and we're looking for positives, right? Special teams is 7th. We got the 7th teams.
Brant Boyer, baby.
That's right. There's another good coach we got. I like that, Watts UK. That was good. We didn't talk about special teams almost all night, so thank you. That was pretty good.
We're not doing anything wrong, so we're not talking about them. That's how that works.
Right. That is how it works. So you said that our offense is 32nd in the league. Is that what you said?
By DVOA, yeah. And the thing that we were talking about the run game, just to give you specific numbers, from a team perspective, they're averaging 3.6 yards per carry.
Oof.
That is unacceptable, and 74 rushing yards per game. So, a lot of people are worried about Zach and let's get Mims involved, let's get Elijah involved. All true, but it's built off the running game. I think once we get that running game going, it'll naturally open up the passing game.
Yeah, I agree. Well, look, it's real hard to sell a play action when you're not running the ball. It's like it's fake. It's not. It's like they showed a play where Zach Wilson was coming back. He was doing a play action, and the linebacker never even moved off his stance. Zach rolled out. The linebacker went with it didn't even phase the linebackers. They just stood there. They didn't bite on the run for a split second, and that's where, because they know we're more than likely not running it anyway. And so, that's one of those things that we have to get better at. And 3.6 yards per carry, 74 yards per game. Obviously, we need to pick that up. I got to say, though, I am surprised to hear that we're 32nd. I think we have far too much talent on the team. Look, we're not a Super Bowl team. We have far too much talent to be the worst damn offense in the league. Would you guys agree? Jack, I'll hit you first.
Absolutely,
man. I think that I was actually saying this the other day in a live stream I was doing with my buddy over at Let's Talk Sports. I think that, when you look at who we have on this offense, specifically these receivers, where we're, having this problem getting Denzel Mims on the field because we have, too many talented guys. I just think it's totally unacceptable to be 32nd. I don't care, rookie quarterback, rookie OC, If it was 11 rookies out there, we should be higher than 32nd, man. Just because that's just unacceptable. I don't care what the roster is. Being last in the league is totally unacceptable. So it pisses me off.
Yeah, and if you're wondering, the next worst offense rank is the Chicago Bears. The actual so these things have percentages. So it's like a positive percentage, negative percentage, right? The Bears are negative 24.2%. The Jets are at negative 27.8. And if you want a comparison on this, the Chiefs are the top at 28.9. So we're literally the opposite of the Chiefs in essence.
Oh,
and I'll give you one.
It's a mirror.
I want to give
That's
another offensive stat that is just, I didn't even know this. This one just impresses me. You know what 45, I know, but you know what 45% of all the Jets' offensive drives have in common? You know what happens 45% of the time? They end in a turnover.
Really?
Oh my God.
That's bad.
That is damning, man.
Dude,
45.
that is the craziest.
Is that real?
That's the craziest stat I've ever heard.
Wow.
Pro Football Reference. It's right there. 45%.
You heard it here first, everybody in the chat. The Jets, 45% of the time, our drives end in a mother effing turnover. I thought for sure it was going to be punt, and I felt sick about that. It's a turnover.
I'm not looking that up. That'll be more depressing.
So, all right, let's try to do this. Do you know who are our offensive leaders? I mean, I think Corey Davis probably has the most receptions, but I remember Berrios was way up there. Where do we stand on that? Do you have that stuff yet?
In terms of leading receivers, yeah, I can give you some stuff. Do you want rushing, receiving? What would you like to know?
Yeah, let's start with receiving, and then we can bounce through the rushing real quick too. But let's talk about the receiving because that's an area that we were under the impression that we had improved. I mean, we were talking about a top 15 receiving core. Yeah. You know, so right. what the hell? Where are we?
Yeah, we'll break down some individual efforts so far. So thankfully, this doesn't have drops, which will make Corey Davis happy. But he's got 20 catches on 36 targets. 302 yards, which through 5 games, for a little more than that. That's 60 yards a game. Because remember, the Patriots basically shut him out in week 2. So I will be very interested to see how he rebounds this in the next game. But he is averaging 15 yards per reception, thanks to a couple of long runs. 3 touchdowns.
Who was that? I'm sorry, I completely didn't hear who. Corey Davis.
Yeah, this is Corey Davis. Yeah. So so that's one. But in terms of targets, you can pretty much guess who the second most targeted receiver is on this offense. I'm pretty sure.
It's who do you think, Jack? Second most targeted receiver.
The second most targeted receiver would have to be Berrios for sure.
Absolutely. And 16 catches on 23 receptions, 156 yards. But what's surprising me, can you believe Elijah Moore is the third most targeted receiver on this team?
Really? It doesn't feel like that.
It doesn't. Only 8 catches for 66 yards. I can barely remember the catches.
Yeah, how many targets?
20 targets. 8 catches on 20 targets. 40% 40% target. Now, we're not saying that's all his fault. A lot of times the throws have not been put in the right. But I really think getting that hamstring injury and missing the preseason has done a lot to limit him. I don't know if because he didn't play a preseason game. I think he's still working his way back.
Neither he or Elijah Vera Tucker played at all in the preseason. So that was one of those things where, we had to give them a minute. But I still think 8 receptions on that many targets is it's funny. I don't know if it just doesn't absorb sometimes or whatever, but that surprises me too. These are interesting stats. So who's next on? Is it going to be Crowder is coming around the mountain here?
We can go back to that. So because I also have the snap counts because I think it's interesting to see how much playing time these guys are getting. So actually Crowder and our favorite player Ryan Griffin are tied with 15 targets apiece. So they are tied for 4th on the team.
Ryan Griffin and who?
And Jamison Crowder. They both have 15 targets.
Yeah, that's good because Ryan Griffin's prolific, so that's important.
Ryan Griffin's running a 5-yard out route on 3rd and 9.
I know. It's just
pathetic.
And to think he actually would have had a touchdown if Zach had elevated that one pass to him in the red zone.
I know.
Oh my God.
That's the thing. It's really interesting, right? Like the first couple of weeks, we were all screaming about it. Like we were number one in the league for drop passes, and it was unbelievable. Zach was he was hitting everybody, and the receivers couldn't drop it. Then the receivers settle in and start catching shit, and Zach's throwing it at their feet. It's just like, and that's the thing. It's like we're not far, man. We're just not there. Like we're just not connected. You know what I mean? And that's why I really do have a lot of hope, and like even a lot of guys, like if you talk about this, they think we're bashing. I want to make that clear, at least for me. I'm not bashing the team in the slightest, but it is important to talk about this shit. You know what I mean? Like you're not a hater if you talk about it. I mean, truth is truth, man. Numbers are numbers. Ask Frankie from Flatbush. He'll tell you. So numbers and numbers don't lie.
He'll put them on a spreadsheet.
Yeah, Frankie from If everybody doesn't know, Frankie's in the chat right now. He has a channel as well, Frankie from Flatbush, and he has created something called the Predictor Bot, which I didn't check the video to see how Predictor Bot did this week, but he created a system, man. He's got a Predictor Bot. I can't wait to see how good it was. But if you guys haven't checked out Frankie from Flatbush, I think that you will enjoy it. He even lets Jeremy Cravat go over there with him and hang out with him from time to time. So clearly he is into charity and philanthropy. So there's that. But yeah, anyway, I appreciate Frankie from Flatbush. And he says it all the time, man. Look, numbers don't lie. It's just that, look, you are what you are, and there could be reasons and situations, of course. But sometimes it's good just to look at the numbers to give you an actual perspective on what you're really dealing with, where emotions can't get in and muddy the water. You know what I mean? So how's our running game looking? I mean, you already told us, 3.6 yards per carry, 74 yards per game. I would venture to guess that Michael Carter is going to be the guy with the most. What's his average?
Before we do that, can I give you one more wide receiver that we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah,
that I think is radar. Yeah, we haven't talked about Keelan Cole yet.
Oh.
He has the highest catch percentage on the team, 77.8 of the time he's targeted, he makes the catch. 7 catches on 9 targets, 23 yards per reception, 160 yards. Maybe this is a guy who needs to play a little bit more.
That's efficient football right there, man.
What's that, Jack?
Yep.
What did you say, Jack?
What was that, Greenbean? I said that was just that's an efficient stat line right there. That's efficient football right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, look, we have some talent. You know what I mean? We have some talent over here. So what else you got, Y2K?
All right, so let's go on to the running game here. Yes, Michael Carter is far and away our leading rusher. 165 yards on 47 attempts, 2 touchdowns, averaging 3.5 yards per attempt. And his long run of the season is 14 yards.
Ooh. See, and that's one of those things. Like, I still think we're not doing a good job. Very similar to Zach, we're not doing a good job of getting him into a rhythm. I mean, look, you can do the running back by committee. That's fine. But these guys, running backs notoriously need to get a flow going. They need to start to feel the game and see how the blocks are, how the defense is responding before they can really get things going. And we don't do that. Like later in the game, we kind of abandon it. We don't really use them anymore. When the hope is the end of the game, your running game could just take over. That's the hope. That's the goal. You want your running game, just pound the shit out of the defense that's on their heels. They're huffing and puffing, and you're running the wide zone, making them run horizontal all day long. Make them run 15 yards on a 4-yard run. That's what you want to get the defense doing. Running 15 yards to stop a 4-yard run. And then they start huffing and puffing. Then you can punch them square in the mouth all day, and they can't do a thing about it. And we haven't been able to do that. And I think, like Jack said, Michael Carter, I think we have something here, man. A nice 4th-round pick. Shit. I think we have something in Michael Carter.
Yeah, I do too. And I think I see a little bit of Le'Veon Bell in him in that he's very patient. He's a very cerebral running back. He waits for those holes to open, and he's just ready to take it right there. He doesn't have the biggest breakaway speed I've ever seen. But I think he's one of those guys where if the product around him is good, he will really, really thrive. I definitely think he's a keeper. Shoot, as soon as I saw his celebration video after the Jets drafted him, I said, I like this guy. Like, remember when he screamed, yeah, and then just fell down against the door, and it's like, oh, no, he's injured. Just right there. Okay, this guy's going to be us. We are going to take Michael Carter in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. I do. Okay, there it is. I had to check. They had a little file guy in the brain trying to find it. I remember that. That was exciting. That was touching. That was good.
That's cool.
So wait,
Boy.
real quick before you leave, Rags and Morales. It's good to see you, Rags. He has a point, and we talking about Keelan Cole, and this is a valid argument, man. He says you were talking about Keelan Cole. Jack said it's an efficient stat line, all good stuff, and he says yeah, and that's why Mims sits. So what do you guys think about that? You think, look, Keelan Cole is clearly talented. He has the highest percentage as far as receptions to targets. You think it's a valid reason to sit Mims? Jack, I'll start with you. And Rag's comment is here is kind of interesting.
I think I'm just going to reiterate the same point I made before. Obviously, I think Keelan Cole and Denzel Mims are both good players. Obviously, we have a much greater sample size of tape on Keelan Cole than we do on Denzel Mims in the NFL. But going back to the point I made earlier in the stream, I think a good coaching staff will find ways to get their playmakers onto the field. And clearly, right. Denzel Mims is a playmaker when you see the plays that he has made this year. So I think that, a competent coaching staff would find a way to get them both in the rotation when we see Braxton Berrios is our second most targeted receiver on the team. I mean, just ridiculous, man. So, yeah, I think that there's definitely a pathway to both Keelan Cole and Denzel Mims being productive in the same game, for sure.
Yeah, it's a good point, man. It's like, what's wrong with having 3 6'3" guys running around? What the hell's the matter with you? Why can't we do that?
There's nothing wrong with it.
Corey Davis, Keelan Cole, and Mims out there just beating up the defense. Why can't we do that? Y2K, what do you think? You think, and that Rag's point about Keelan Cole is the reason Mims is sitting. Do you think that's valid, or you kind of align with Jack, which is like, hey, man, if they both can play, then play them both?
Well, I'm going to the snap counts right here, and the fact that we had to play Ryan Griffin on 91% of the snap counts against Atlanta, we got to get all those Ryan Griffin snaps in. I know, wide receiver, tight end, but you get that.
But still, right. I get it, man.
But
I get it.
Yeah. But I'm looking at the count percentage. So actually, let's go ahead and break down the snap count percentage. Let's see if we can see a little bit of a pattern here. I'm going to leave Corey Davis aside. He's our number one. We know what he is. So let's look at Keelan Cole. The snap percentages through the first 5 games have been as follows. 0%, he was inactive. 22%, 50%, 59%, and 55%. So steadily increasing, and it's kind of plateaued over the last couple of weeks. Jamison Crowder came back in week 4 and 5. Well, that's going to knock several players down.
Right.
Yep. Like Braxton Berrios' time has plummeted since Crowder has come back in. Berrios went 57, 59, 78. That was against Denver, 15, and then 11. So we are not seeing a whole lot of Braxton Berrios on the field anymore for offense.
Yeah,
so that's
I think appropriate. Okay, so you know what? That makes some sense to me. It's like Braxton was kind of filling the Jamison Crowder role, and now that Crowder's back, rightfully so, Braxton takes a back seat. I mean, that makes perfect sense to me, and those numbers are supportive of common sense, in my opinion.
Yeah. So and I'll give you Mims. Yeah, let's give you Mims. So 5%, 0%, 0%, 16%, 14%. So it's not as if he's seeing a decrease in playing time as Cole is seeing an increase in playing time, I guess is my point. Corey Davis is going to get your playing time. Elijah Moore has gone down a little bit. He's been playing he played 41% of the snaps this week. It was actually not a lot at all. But the only pattern I'm really seeing here is as Crowder goes up, Berrios goes down. These outside receivers, they seem to be, particularly the second receiver spot, it seems very interchangeable on the opposite side of Corey Davis. So I don't really buy the theory that as Cole increases, Mims decreases.
As Cole, yeah, that's it. Look, and and I get the whole point that like Denzel Mims was sick and Keelan Cole just kind of took the job, and they're not going to penalize him, and just kind of supplant him with Mims because he's working hard, playing well, all that shit. But I do believe that Mims is a better player. Mims has way more upside than Keelan Cole. And I like Keelan Cole. I do. But I still think, like Jack said so perfectly, you got to figure out a way to get your playmakers on the field. And quite frankly, Mims is better than Keelan Cole. I don't think there's too many people that would debate that know what they're talking about. Mims has potential to be a tried and true, honest to goodness number one receiver. And Cole doesn't really have that. While he can be impactful on the team, I don't think anybody's crying for Keelan Cole to be a number one. Where Denzel Mims, it's legit, and he can be that. Whether or not he will, I don't know, but it's there. So, yeah. What does our defense look like? Quickly, what do you think? So, how is our defense faring overall out there?
Well, let's see. There's a couple ways we could go with defense here. So let's pull that up. One of my favorite Quincy Williams stats is that he's forced 3 fumbles already. So that's quite the impact that he's had.
Yeah, and sacks, right? These guys all over the place.
Yep, with sacks. Yeah, well, he has 1 sack. Quinnen has 3.5, which is interesting considering a lot of people were talking about what a slow start Quinnen got off to. He's already at 3.5. JFM has 3. Bryce Huff has 2. Another thing I'd like to look at is tackles for loss, and Quincy is leading with 5. This one's a little surprising. Shaq Lawson has 4 tackles for a loss.
Yeah.
When I wouldn't have. Yeah. So
he's doing better in the run game than a lot of people are giving him credit for. And people are saying Shaq Lawson is kind of like, he's a non-factor. It's actually not the case. He's not giving us the pass rush that we lost when we lost Carl Lawson, but he's doing some good things in the run game, which was, I think, surprising for a lot of people to hear. What do you think, Jack? What do you think of Shaq Lawson? Are you think he's going to, get more involved in the passing game? Do you know too much about him, or what are your feelings on that guy?
Honestly, my thoughts on him since we signed him haven't really changed much because, like you just said, I wasn't expecting the productivity out of Carl Lawson. So, I knew that obviously, as soon as we lost Carl for the season, this defensive line took a big hit no matter who we brought in. I think it's a great move by Joe Douglas doubling down on the position. One goes down, we bring in another. I love that. But I can't be too, mad at the lack of productivity on the pass rushing end from Shaq Lawson, because although, I wish we would see, better numbers on that end from him, he has been very effective in the running game. And, the fact is that we have a lot of other guys on this defensive line, named Quinnen Williams, named John Franklin Myers, named Bryce Huff, that can get after the quarterback and be productive on that end. So I'm not really that mad at Shaq Lawson. I think, number one, I wasn't expecting, the world from him anyway. And number two, he has been productive as a run stopper. And, as the season goes along, let's just hope he progresses. No more injuries to this defense. And I think that, we're just going to continue playing good football. And he's definitely been a part of that. I mean, the second most tackles for loss, that's a very surprising stat. But the fact that he's showing up, man, like you said, GreenBean, the numbers don't lie. So got to give a little bit of praise his way.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting. He was about as good as we were going to find out there at that time, for a 6th round pick. It's just unfortunate. And I don't even want to say it, but the injuries have slowed down a little bit to our
God,
key
don't
player.
say that.
I know. What's the matter with me? What did I just get here? I almost stopped myself, but I wanted you guys to know what I was thinking. So I knocked on the wood. This is real. This is good wood, man.
Oh, that's what that was. I was wondering what that was. All right, there we go.
Y2K, what else you got from the defensive side of the ball? I know that our leaders in sacks, we have 3.5 from Quinnen, and we have 3 from JFM, which is pretty good. It's nice to see. But what else are we hiding in these numbers here?
What actually is interesting on looking back at Sunday, people were talking about where'd the pass rush go? Where'd the pass rush go? And I know we had no sacks, but it was recorded the Jets had 9 quarterback hits on Matt Ryan. So it's not as if they couldn't get past the offensive line. He was just able to get rid of the ball in time.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that is getting a little bit overlooked.
Yeah. That's what
but
Jack was talking about earlier. Like, hopefully Zach can learn from watching the opposing quarterback, especially somebody like Matt Ryan, where people forget he's not been the best quarterback in the league the last few years, but he's always among the best quarterbacks in the league. Like, it changes. Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, like, it changes every year who takes the number 1, number 2 spot. But Matt Ryan's always near there. He's always in that conversation. He's among the better quarterbacks for a long time. He's smart, man. He's a smart vet, knows what he's looking at, and he knows how to get rid of the ball. And hopefully Zach can get there at some point too, because, if your line can't stop the pass rush, the best thing to do is get rid of that damn ball. So what else we got, Adam?
Well, I would say one thing I like to look at is the playing time for some of the guys on this defense and how it's changed. Because one of the things we know about Coach Saleh is he likes to rotate the defensive linemen. Some of the ones that I find pretty interesting, can you believe Quinnen Williams so far with snap percentage played? Here are the 5 game stats. 61%, 67, 52, 59, 64. He has never played 60% of the defensive snaps in a game this season.
Wow.
And he's having this good of a season.
Think about that. That's interesting. I wonder why too, because he's effective 3 downs. Like, he can play the running downs just as effectively as he can play the passing downs. So I'm curious. I mean, I think they just want to get fresh legs in there. Foley Fadukasi, JFM. And I think they're giving a little bit too much time to Nathan Shepard. Maybe that experiment will settle down a little bit more. He should probably be playing about 15%. But you could probably tell me where he is. But I've seen his snap counts. It looks like they're increasing, Nathan Shepard. And you can tell because his penalties are increasing. So that just means he's on the field longer, man. That's all that means.
Well,
yeah.
Well, let's go to the numbers. Let's go to the Nathan numbers. So he is at 36%, 38%, 45% against Denver. That was his peak. Then 37%, and this past week against Atlanta, only 26%.
Wow.
He's lost a lot of playing time.
He had a bad week.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He's had some quarterback hits, but he's taking more penalties than anybody on this team. So.
Isn't that something?
Yep.
So, all right, man. What else you got for us? I want to wrap this up with Jack and talk about Marcus Maye a little bit. But I wanted to, if you have another goodie for us, throw it on us, Adam. This is awesome. I appreciate it, man. This is I love hearing this shit because I don't think numerically. I don't. Like, I think in like philosophical terms. I'm always like, if you realized, if you put it, like, that's how I think. I'm very artistic in that way. So when I hear numbers, I'm always like, really? It's not what I thought. So it's interesting. I really do appreciate, you providing this for us. But what else you got? You got anything else for us before we move on to Marcus Maye?
Oh, I do. I'm going to give you 2 more categories if I can. 2 more.
Okay, I'm in.
First, and so this one we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Starting average field position. The Jets The Jets are starting the average drive on their own 25-yard line. The opponent is starting their drives on their own 36-yard line. That's an 11-yard difference.
Yeah.
Pretty big.
Yeah, that's not what you want to see.
Yeah. And the other one, I think this is about neck and neck with the 45% of the drives ending in a turnover in terms of the most infuriating stat I could find for this week. We're going to talk time of possession.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right, Jack.
Oh, Christ.
Even in the chat, I could feel a collective from like everybody in there.
You're like, I don't want to hear it.
All right. Actually, I want to get your guess on this. Okay, so for 5 games, and I'm going to break this down 2 ways. So for the whole season, where do we rank in the league in terms of time of possession? How long we've held the ball? 1 to 32.
32.
Jack, do you think 32? I was going to say 25.
I'm going 32, man. I think it's 32.
Okay, it is 29. 26 minutes, 32 seconds per game. However, that's for the. If you go by the last 3 games, we are dead last at 23 minutes and 57 seconds. 23-57 in the last 3 games. That's like the Bills in Super Bowl 25 almost.
Yeah, well, right. And it's like when you look at stats like the 17 rushes, it starts to make a little bit more sense. It's like, well, when the hell are we going to rush the ball? Because we're never on the damn field.
So and we're behind.
Right. We're behind. Yeah.
So we're on the ball. That's why we're not running it. One of the reasons.
PG comes in and just says straight up, wow. Yeah. That's the thing with these numbers, man. That's the thing with numbers. You're like, what? Oh my gosh. So we have to, there are some real areas to improve. It's not always just a player here or there. Sometimes it's the whole concept. It's the whole mindset, like focusing on improving your time of possession by starting earlier with the ball possession offense. Dude, the wide zone scheme is designed to get the defense running around in space horizontally east to west, so you can start to get them tired, so you can start to manipulate them and take advantage of them. And we have not been able to do that because, like Jack said earlier, it seems like we're pushing the ball a little too quick. Like we're trying to get the ball downfield. And Zach has done okay with some of those exciting plays, but that's not what offenses are built upon. That's the stuff. That's the also. You want to have a firm foundation in place, and I think that's where our focus should be in this bye week. I think if we do that, we might be able to settle a lot of these numbers down. But thank you, Watu-K99. Everybody give him a collective applause in the chat. Always drops the knowledge on us, and I appreciate it, man. I'm going to wrap this up with some Marcus Maye with Jack, but thanks, Adam. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Right on, man.
Yeah, he's the goods. And Jeremy's back
awesome
there.
Stuff, man. Awesome stuff.
Wasn't that good? Wasn't
great.
That good?
I love it. And you're right. It is because I think me and you are very similar, GreenBean, when we look at things from a more exactly. We look at things from more a more emotional, philosophical, if you will, as you said, perspective. So it's nice. It's nice to just be hit with some straight numbers sometimes, and you go, okay, either I was right or okay, I'm an idiot and I need to be more informed.
That's right. Exactly right.
Either one is fine, and it's a learning experience, and I love it, man. So that was great stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And Adam does a good job, man. Watu-K99, everybody, dropping that on us. So look, before we leave, and I want to see what the chat thinks about this as well. I'm going to try to kind of include everybody's opinions here as best I can. Matthias came in and said, where was it? He says, trade Marcus Maye for a bag of shells and a 4th-round pick. So that's, some people are, jokes aside with that. It's like, just take whatever you can get from Marcus Maye. Where do you stand? I mean, and we talked about it for a moment earlier, but where do you really stand with the Marcus Maye thing, with the suspension coming up, or the likely suspension, the handling from his agent and all that sort of stuff? Like, it's kind of got ugly in a hurry here. Oh, I'm still here. Hold on. As my battery died. Hold on.
No worries, man. I hear you loud and clear.
Got my backup camera here. Hold on. Let me clean it. Hold on.
All right, man.
Okay. All right. So we'll make do.
You look beautiful.
Thank you. So number one, do you think we should trade Marcus Maye? Do you think that's what's clearly happening here? Or do you think we should try to keep him? And, whatever side you're on, like, what do you think we can get if you do want to trade him realistically with the suspension and the money he wants and all that baloney in play? And I'll ask the same thing to the chat. What do you think? Number one, do you want to trade him or keep him? And if you want to trade him, what do you think we can get realistically? So where do you stand, Jack?
I think that, number one, I don't tolerate any Jets slander from within the organization. You're going to go to social media and have your agent, pull a BS move like that. That obviously was ran past Marcus Maye before it was tweeted out. Yeah, I don't appreciate anything like that. And another point is, with all that's come out about the DUI stuff now, let's take a minute to realize that him and his agent knew about this, obviously, because it freaking happened in February. And then spent the offseason while knowing that this happened and the suspension was imminent, because this stuff doesn't stay under wraps. It comes out.
Never.
They know it's going to happen. It's inevitable. What did they do? They tried to swindle the Jets for as much money as they could. And I was for it. You know what? Marcus Maye has been a great player for us. He's been there through our worst years, and he played his best football last year. That was obviously before I knew about the DUI or what his agent was going to tweet. But think about that Marcus Maye and his agent tried to swindle us, knowing that he was probably going to deal with repercussions from the NFL based on what happened with whatever charge he was brought up with during the DUI. So I just think it's a very low blow from a guy that I really respected, and I admired his game. I admired his, abilities as a leader. He played his best football as a Jet during a year last year where the organization around him played their worst. I respected him, and now at this point, I'm kind of over it, man. Like I said, I don't tolerate any Jet slander from within the organization. Jamal Adams, see you later. Now it's Marcus Maye, man. See you later. But they could have shot themselves in the foot, man, because now with all this stuff that's coming out, plus the fact that former Defensive Player of the Year Stephon Gilmore went for a 6th round pick. So that does not bode well for Marcus Maye. So I really couldn't tell you what his value would be on the market right now, especially with the suspension kind of looming over the whole situation right now. But would I be down to trade Marcus Maye? You're damn right. I mean, like I said, I don't know what the value would be, but if we could, grab a competent tight end, that's a consideration. Draft capital is obviously always on Joe Douglas's mind, so I really couldn't tell you value-wise what we would get from him. But I would totally be willing to part ways with Marcus Maye, man, just because, like I said, there's ways to go about handling your business, and having your agent tweet out some nonsense like that, just not the way to go about it, man. So Marcus Maye is kind of on my shit list these days, and I think he's played his last game as a Jet. As unfortunate as it may be, we did have a lot of good times with Marcus Maye, but I think they've come to an end, man. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, look, I want to say this. I really like you, man. Like I tend to like not only your opinion, your point, but I like how you express it too. It's very close to how I would say it. Like he's on your shit list. That's exactly how I feel. It's like, look, when you look at the whole situation, like allowing his agent, it's not that he came out one time and said something. That it's like, okay, man, everybody can have a moment, but it's been consistent. There were 3 separate instances where his agent threw Joe Douglas under the bus and said some really grimy stuff, which is like, I'll never trust the Jets again. He's the worst general manager I've ever dealt with, all that kind of stuff. Marcus Maye allowed that. And like you just said, while they had this thing in their background that they knew they were going to have to deal with. So they were trying to aggressively get their guarantees before this came out. So then they wouldn't have to deal with, like, hey, man, the guarantees are already in while he's still known as an upstanding citizen and all that sort of stuff. So I think that the term I use for that is nefarious. And that's like really dark, shady stuff. And it's not on the level, and it's not professional. And I think that it's I could not agree with you more. Get him out of here. He admitted earlier in the like in training camp off season, he said that he talks to Jamal Adams every day. Now, if you're looking at Jamal Adams as an example, Jamal Adams, scorched earth. He shot his way out of town, went to a winner, and made more money than any safety in the NFL. So if you're looking at that model, then that's not the best influence right there. And he could start thinking like, well, hey, that's what I want. He was an asshole and got rewarded for it, so why am I being a good guy? So I don't think that's the kind of guys Joe Douglas wants around, and I think it's time for him to go. Now, the interesting thing is that his court date was October 20th. It just got, and I think the trade deadline is November 10th. If anybody in the chat wants to correct me, I think it's November 10th. And they just they pushed back his court date till November 2nd. So that's where I don't see a trade happening before the court date. I think they're going to wait and see what really happens, and then maybe what the NFL plans to do with all that sort of stuff. But the fact that we just lost a week here with that, pushing back the court date like that, that's gonna get, complicate things a little bit. And I think we might not be able to get the value for Maye before the trade deadline that we would have had this stuff not come out. Now, I think Marcus Maye just straight up was looking like he was a 3rd value, maybe even a late 2nd value for a team that really needs him, or if there's a little bidding war for teams that are going to make a playoff push soon. Because, look, there's no safety that's available right now that's as good as him on the market. He's about as good as you're going to get, but he's injured. He has the DUI stuff, and he's 30 years old, and he's going to be wanting a $14 million contract or whatever the hell it is he wants. So I think that the value is more than likely going to be less. I'm hoping Joe Douglas can pull together some of his magic and get a third for him. But I think realistically, we're looking at maybe a fourth, maybe a 2023 third, something like that. But it would be really neat to have 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, 2 fourths, 2 fifths, a sixth in this year's draft. That would be neat to have 2 in each round. And I think Joe Douglas is going to try to do that. But yeah, let me see what the chat says. So I agree with you, man. I think it's unfortunate because we all we all wanted to think that Maye could be one of those guys that's stuck, like one of the good guys. We're hoping that's Quinn and Williams. All that's really left is Quinn and Nathan Shepard and Foley Fatukasi. I mean, that's about it with Maye. That's about it from our previous regimes. It's nuts.
Yeah, man.
Darren Lee and Leo, all those guys. So let's see what the chat says here. Let's say, Eminon says, hey ho, Maye gotta go. I'm with you there. Okay, I like that, Eminon. That was good. So Chris Donardo brings up a little bit of facts for us. He says Rams have 2 thirds and 2 sevenths in next year's draft. So the fact that they have one to fall back on, they might be willing to let it go. That's an interesting point, Chris. Maye is a snake in the grass for that. Yeah, sneakers to boot. See, so I don't think we're alone on this island.
No. Listen, man, we're a passionate group of people, man. The second you turn on us, we're sending you upriver, man.
That's it.
Marcus Maye's done.
That's right. We'll turn quick. I mean, look, because that's the reality of it. It's like, look, as much as we like a player here or there, the truth is that when all of these players are gone, I'm still going to be sitting here wearing a friggin' green jersey. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
I've had this hat. I bought this hat the day after Parcells changed our colors from the 90s Jets, the Jets with the swoosh on top of it, back to the white helmets. I bought this the day after. I've been wearing this hat through 15 coaches and 8 GMs and all. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
At the end of the day, I'm a Jets fan, so I'm looking for what's best for us. Watu says he wants a third at least. Let's see what else we got.
Listen, man, I think that's very reasonable when you look at Joe Douglas's track record of fleecing organizations. Let's get the Seahawks on the phone. I don't think they need him, but let's see if they're willing to give up another first round pick. Let's just get them on the phone because clearly they got no idea what they're doing over there. So let's see if they want to get another safety from the New York Jets.
Wouldn't that be fucking hilarious, Jack? Like if we got the Seahawks to give even a third and a fifth or something, just something. But dude, buyer's remorse. I don't think buyer's remorse can really encapsulate what they probably feel over there in Seattle, man. Not only did they give away 2 picks, 2 first-round picks and a third, and a player, but now they've made him the richest safety in the world, and he looks worse than he's ever looked in his career because he's found out. I mean, Jamal Adams in many respects is a fraud. He's an exciting player. He's obviously a good football player, but he's not as advertised. He never was. He doesn't have that impact on the game. So
he's not a safety.
Yeah, that's right.
He's just not. Yeah, no, he's just not. I mean, we all saw him get absolutely washed in man coverage by Tyler Higbee on primetime last week, and that brought a tear of joy to my eye. I was sitting right next to Richie. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch them all in this play. I think they're in man coverage. I'm going to watch them all. Ball gets snapped. I think they were in the red zone, maybe around the 20. Ball gets snapped. Jamal gets exposed. Touchdown Higbee. Me and Richie were high-fiving and everything like that. Yeah. And I will admit, and I have no shame in admitting this, I did do a bit of a deep dive recently on Twitter after watching that to try to gauge how Seattle fans are feeling about the acquisition of Jamal Adams. They are not liking it, man. Jamal Adams is public enemy number 1, both in New York and Seattle. So Jamal has made enemies on opposite coasts of our great country. And love it, man. I love it because, like I said before, I don't tolerate any Jet slander from within the organization. So see you, Jamal. See you, Marcus Maye.
Yeah,
good riddance.
I love it. And you know, it's funny, man. Last year when we made the trade, I was out west. I was like, I live in an RV and I was traveling out west. And I happened to be in Washington State for week 1 last year.
Oh, wow.
For like the 3 weeks before week 1, I was there and I talked to a handful of Seattle fans. I mean, like the kind of fans that are in a camping thing. They have everything Seattle Seahawks, tents are Seahawks. And I asked them how they felt. And they were split then. They were like, I think we gave too many, good player, but I can't believe we gave 2 first. So they were already teetering, like they overpaid, man. And there's no other way to say it. We got more for Jamal Adams than the Raiders got for Khalil Mack.
It's a beautiful thing, man. Joe Douglas, we love you, buddy. Keep doing your thing.
And Joe, dude, I think so. Wait, where was another one? I completely agree. Joe Douglas has been fantastic with his trades. Eminon says trade him for a 3rd this year and a 5th next year. That'd be great. I'd love that. Let's see what else we got. That's about it.
If we can get 2 picks for Marcus Maye, that is an absolute chalk that up into the W column, because we know what Joe Douglas can make happen when he has, an arsenal of draft picks at his disposal. So, looking forward to see what he's going to do this offseason, man.
Yeah, me too, man. So submissions checks in and says November 2nd is the trade deadline. So maybe I had that backwards. I think they bumped his court date back a week. So maybe they bumped it back from October 20th to October 22nd. And it's not the court date that's November 2nd. It's the trade deadline. So that puts a small window there for us to find out what's going on and to negotiate with other teams. But I think the negotiating is already happening. They're already talking about this stuff with the teams that are interested. I heard the Browns are interested. I heard the Rams are interested. The Bucks are interested. So what's cool about Joe Douglas is that he doesn't seem to get caught up in, like, he's not afraid to send a guy that's, pissing him off to a winner if that's where the value is. He doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like, to reward them. Like somebody like me, I'd be like, fucking send him to Detroit for a 7th. I don't care. Just take a 7th and get him to Detroit so you can punish him. But Joe Douglas, he doesn't seem to care. He's like, yeah, go to the Bucks. What do I care? All I know is I want a 3rd. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
and I got to give it to him, man, because I'm not cut that way. I want to make a day.
It's refreshing, man. This isn't a Mike McCagnon that we're dealing with here. So it's definitely refreshing that we finally got somebody in, one of the most important roles within this organization that has some sort of pedigree to him and some real football knowledge and how to be a general manager. So I got all the faith in the world in Joe Douglas, man. This 2020 draft class is looking a little sketch as of right now, but that's all noise, man. Yeah, no, it's all noise. I was just going to say it's all noise because Becton's going to be back. He's a beast. We're just not using Mims. I think the sketchiest move Joe Douglas has made thus far is probably the James Morgan pick. But other than that, hats off to him, man. He's really focused on trying to build a winner.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I think 99% of us hated that Morgan pick when it happened. There were all kinds of guys that we could have used. But that is what it is. It's one pick. I still love our 2020 draft class. You look at Becton, Mims, Bryce Hall. I love LaMichael Piron. I think he's going to be here a long time. I also like Ashton Davis. I didn't like the pick. I didn't. I wanted a whole different position. But I do like Ashton Davis, Braden Mann. Like, dude, it's good. We just got to let them get healthy and everything. And Becton, Mims, and Hall will be playing this year. And even if those are the only 3 guys to come out of it, we're fine for his first draft ever. But I agree with you. I completely trust Joe Douglas. So I'm going to let one more question come in. Is that okay? Are you good for a couple more minutes?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Okay. So Windows just says, and we'll wrap this up with this. He says, do you guys think we use all our picks in the 2022 draft? I hope we roll some over for 2023 to keep a surplus of assets each year if possible, because this is the end of the big wave of picks that Joe Douglas, from the Leo Williams, the McClendon, the Sam Darnold, the Jamal Adams, that all ends this year, and we don't have any additional picks in 2023. So what do you think? What do you see happening? You think Joe Douglas will figure out a way to kind of roll some of these back and get some additional picks for 2023, or do you think he's just going to use them and then start, just go in fresh with his 7 picks the year following.
Do you know off the top of your head how many draft picks we have coming up?
Well, what, 2, 4, 5, 6?
Is it like
7, 9? We have 10. 10
all right?
picks.
So I don't think any team, even if we're the Jets looking for all the help we can get, I don't think any team needs to take 10 people in a draft because there's no way 10 guys are going to make the squad. And obviously, you have stuff like that happens every year where, somebody you were high on doesn't turn out the way you thought. Maybe they don't make the team, or maybe they just don't end up seeing the playing time you thought they were going to see. But if I know anything about Joe Douglas, is that he likes to finesse. He likes to make things happen. So I would be very, very shocked if we just drafted all of our 10 picks outright without moving up and down, trading away. So I think we're definitely going to, see some shakeups as we did this year. But I love the idea, and I think that's a great point that Windows made. I love the idea of, maintaining this, and I love the way you put it, surplus of assets. Every year, because that's Joe Douglas's mindset, man. I mean, he's taking every opportunity he can to acquire as much draft capital as he can to build this thing through the draft, because that's how, a winning team is built. This team wasn't, a quarterback away or a cornerback away from, doing something. This team needed a bare bones rebuild, and we finally, have done that. And I expect Joe Douglas to, keep the same mentality that he's had in the last 2 drafts moving forward. So I think that, the assets are going to be there for sure. But, I would not be shocked at all if we see another, trade up this year. Because, you never know what you're going to get. Joe Douglas, he's going to make it happen, man. I have faith in him to make it happen. I like what he's done already. Obviously, no general manager is perfect. We just went over the James Morgan pick. I know a pick that you weren't that high on this year was the Jason Pinnock pick.
Yeah, I
and
didn't like it.
You seem to be right about that so far.
So far.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, man. But yeah, I got faith in Joey D, man. I think that, however he decides to attack the draft, I think that he's done well so far. So I think he's just got to, keep a clear head and just keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah. So it turns out it's 11 picks. I thought that it went down to 10 through some of the moves this year, but real quick, I'll go over them for everybody just so we have them. And then we'll wrap this up. We have our own first, Seattle's first, our own second, the Panthers second. We have 1/3. We have a 4th from the Panthers, 2 in round 5. So we have our own and the 1 from the Steelers in the Avery Williamson trade. We have 2 round 6, our own and the Buccaneers for Steve McClendon. See, it says 3 here. This one might not be updated, man, because we gave our 6th. We gave a 6th for Shaq Lawson, and we gave a 6th in Chris Herndon. So there wasn't a net gain in the Chris Herndon trade. We gave Chris in a 6th, Herndon and a 6th for a 4th. I still think it's 10, but either way, it's 10 or 11. I think that article I just pulled up was not updated, but anyway, I use Draft Tech. I'll go to Draft Tech and figure it all out. But either way, we have 10 or 11, and you have a good point. When you keep bringing in 10 or 11 guys each year, it's hard to be able to use all of them. So Joe Douglas might make some moves and roll some back. He might make some moves and raise the quality. Maybe he packages a 3rd and a 4th to get back into the 2nd or something like that. So I think either way, just like Jack said, I have faith in Joe Douglas, and I think that he is paying attention. That's the one thing you got to give him, man. He knows what he's looking at. His team is good, and they'll do it. They'll make the move back if it makes sense. They'll make the move up if it makes sense. So I think either way, I think we're going to have an exciting draft, and hopefully we don't have to keep talking about the draft from now till the end of the season. I'd like to see some good football.
Yeah.
But Jack, man, I want to thank you for coming. This was super awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
It was really, really cool. I want to let me just say goodbye to Adam. Adam, I want to say goodbye to you. And Jeremy, you ready to come on just to say hello? Here's Jeremy Cravat. He's in the back too. I think all he really does back there is make fun of me. He just said a comment about I can't count or something like that. So he drinks his wine and he makes fun of me. And clearly, I think that's important enough to keep him. But I wanted to say thank you to you two for hanging out in the back. I really appreciate it. Jack, before you go, you want to let anybody know what you got going on, or you have any plugs or anything you want to give us?
You can check out the YouTube channel at Jets Media. My buddy Richie runs it, and he's gracious enough to allow me to appear on it pretty much whenever I want. So shout out to my buddy Richie and everything that he's building over there. And shout out to you, GreenBean. You're a fantastic person. And shout out to you gentlemen below me, Y2K and Jeremy. It's a pleasure to meet you guys and to get to talk some Jets. And it's, it's a great thing being in somebody else's stream, interacting with new people in the chat that I haven't, seen before. And it's just been a great night, man. So GreenBean, appreciate you for making it happen. I'd love to come back on again if you'd have me. And it was a great time, man. So thank you guys.
Yeah, right on. I loved having you. And I think you guys are all awesome, man. So as Jack said, if you haven't checked out Jets Media, I mean, they're legit, man. That's a good group. Richie runs it. Jack's, in my opinion, always there. I mean, it looks to me like you're there 99% of the time. So you can see Jack over there. And then we have Ali, who's a regular contributor over there as well, from loyal New York Jets fans. I want to thank everybody in the chat. You guys are the absolute shit. I think you guys are the best chats in all the NFL. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but I still want to say it, and I still feel that way. Jeremy, Adam, Y2K, thanks for being here. And everybody, have a fantastic night. And I'll leave you with what we started with. See you next time.
There with high pressure in control. Man, that looks great.
Jets! Oh my God, it's so beautiful. 78 degrees, Jets football, and we're winning. That's what's going on today. That's why everybody's so psyched. This isn't no happenstance. This is a guarantee, just like Joe Namath said. See that?
There are few things in life you cannot put a price on. Loyalty, tradition, fierce passion. Today is a gigantic family reunion because finally, they're back.